Voor de 10e editie van de Healthy Aging Tour. Dit jaar 3 etappes, maar wat een prestatie om het toch...
Hello and welcome to stage 1 of the 10th edition of the Healthy Aging Tour. 126 kilometers, 28 laps of the 4.5 kilometer cathedral of speed here in Assen, a famous motor racing circuit. And we've just had lone attacker Lena Metro from the Andy Schleck racing team, who is alone on this circuit. We have sprints on laps 4, 8, 12, 16 and 24 for bonus points. We have intermediate sprints on laps 6, 10 and 18 for bonifications for time. A very historic race, this one. Martin McDonald and Danny Rowe with you to take you through the race coverage. You can see here Lena from the Andy Schleck team wrapped up against the cold. It's 5 to 8 degrees Celsius today, but a little bit cloudy, some forecasts of rain, and a fast circuit that we have here. The rider here will just bring you up to speed just with where things are going. You can see Ellen van Dijk here on the front for Trek Segafredo, Oma Shapira right on her wheel for Canyon SRAM. The big guns are out in this race. The prestige of this one, if you haven't seen the Healthy Aging Tour before, is huge. Right, lap 4, we had a sprint for points. Gudrun Stock, the German rider, taking that from Loretta Hansen and Lauren Kitchen. On to lap 6, bonus sprint seconds. These are important for the general classification. Amy Peters taking that ahead of Lisa Brenner, Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen taking third. 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds on offer on that one. Gudrun Stock took sprint 2. On to lap 10, where we had a sprint for seconds. Lisa Brennauer taking that ahead of Norsgaard and Anna Henderson from Jumbo Visma, the British rider, getting in there in third spot to take 1 second. On to sprint 3, Gudrun Stock taking that from Lisa Klein and Van coming across the line there in third spot. Lap 16, we had the sprint there. Gudrun Stock from Karen Strinkels and Mike Kruger. And then we will have the bonus sprint with 10 laps to go, and that will be for bonus seconds. This was the attack of the Andy Schleck rider. We can go to here, the head of the race, Swiss rider. Alone at the front here, coming around with 10 laps to go. Danny, I think it's sometimes difficult to put into perspective. A fast stage like this on a circuit like Assen, it's flat. The wind always comes into this. It can be a pretty brutal day out there, even on a flat circuit like this.
Yeah, it really can, Marty. It's actually a really interesting dynamic to a stage race like this, having it on a motor racing circuit. The laps feel shorter. It breeds sometimes for the race to be aggressive. You know, when you have 28 laps on the board, you actually forget that it's a race of over 120 kilometers. So I think it'll be interesting to see how it pans out today. It looks like the riders are being aggressive coming into the sprints, the bonus sprints. We can now really try and think about who's going for the GC, who's going for the points classification, and I think it's only going to get more aggressive as the day goes on. I think the riders are just sort of rolling round, it looks like, and then looking towards the sprints as they're coming up to those intermediates.
I'm going to get Danny to keep talking because I've lost my pictures, so I'll relaunch those. So but we in terms of the teams that we've got in this race today, we see Ellen van Dijk on the front controlling this for Trek Segafredo, and she's won this race on 3 occasions. So we're both going to get our pictures back here. So apologies, we've lost our pictures. We will get them back. We will do our best to try and keep going while we've got no pictures. So we'll keep going. We'll launch those. So if you've still got pictures, that's great. Apologies for that. If we look back through this race.
Like you said, Marty, it's very different this year with COVID. Obviously, there's no spectators allowed, hence why we're seeing the race now putting on a motor racing circuit, and then we've got a time trial for stage 2, and then another circuit with the Valkenburg on stage 3 that's going to be a really, really tough race as well. So a little bit different, but again, I think a really exciting race has been put on for this year's Healthy Aging Tour.
And the last time we were here, the race cancelled last year because of the pandemic. Lisa Klein ran out the winner in 2019 ahead of Ellen van Dijk, Kirsten Wild, Amy Peters up there, Alice Barnes, Jolien Dura, Lotte Hintala, Christy Majeras, Lorena Rivas, and Anuska Acosta. That was our top 10 on that occasion. And going into today, let's just run you through your teams. So we've got Team SD Works, and they've had a phenomenal start to the season.
Yeah, they absolutely have, Marty. They've really ridden aggressively. We can see now Joss Loudon. We have got our pictures back, thankfully. It's Joss Loudon here on the front for the Drops Lacole team. She's a British rider. She's actually been riding on the track, and this course really lends itself to track riders. It's super fast, it's flowing, the roads are wide, and it's, yeah, again, it really lends itself to that type of rider, and I think that's why we've seen Gudrun Stock, you know, really leading the way in these sprints. She's a fantastic track rider, and she's obviously using that to her advantage today.
Natalie Eklund, the other rider from GT Cross Tunap, so the national champion of Sweden, is the other rider that's in that chasing group behind. And the Andy Schleck rider here from Switzerland, Lena Metro, and she's won a stage in 2016. She's only 22 years old, so she's won a stage when it was the Energy Vac Tour, the junior edition of this race. So she knows this race well. She's a former national junior time trial champion, and you could just see the way she's slicing through these corners on this Assen circuit. So coming through for the sprint this time, so she's going to take the bonus seconds on this one. We'll see if Joss Loudon and Natalie Eklund can hold on for second and third. It looks like they are. So Joss Loudon comes through the line this time, and Natalie Eklund is right in the mix. So let's run you through your teams, who you're going to see over the course of the next 3 days. You can see the bunch still very much together. So SD Works, they're here. Strong team. Lonika Unikin, Christine Majeras, Jolien Dura, Roxanne Fournier, Amy Peters and Caroline Canuel, Trek Segafredo. Plenty of talent in this team. Amelie Deirdrickson, Loretta Hansen, Chloe Hoskin, Shirin Van Anrooy, the former junior world cyclocross champion, and now stepping up to the world tour with this team, Ellen van Dijk and Trixie Warwick. Movistar, they are here. They've got Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen in there, who has been on great form. Danish national champion Barbara Grishki, she's got backing her up. Many riders will run you through the full teams as these days go on. Canyon Schramm, they've got the likes of Alice Barnes and Alexis Ryan in this as our two chasers. Just get brought back. For Team DSM, Lorena Wiebes has got to be their big name rider in this one. You can see now it's really starting to get aggressive as we come in here into the final 45 kilometers of this race. FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine. For Turoscope, they've got Brody Chapman in there as well, the likes of Jade Veal. For Jumbo Visma, Karen Swinkles, Pernilla Matheson, Anna Henderson, also in there. For Sarah Tizzett, WNT, big team. We'll run you through this. So Kirstenville, Lisa Brennauer, and she's got the likes of Leoline Tuterberg and Marta Lack. Park Hotel Falkenberg, watch out for Amber van der Holst. From Next G Racing, they've got the likes of Charlotte Cool. Drops Lacole, supported by Temper, Maria van Geloof. We've just seen Joss Loudon off the front, and our lone leader is now brought back under control. Andy Schleck racing. A lot of talent in this young team. It's Amy Peters that brings it back. Lisa Klein there on the front. There's Anna Henderson in the yellow and black that you can see here. Loretta Hansen just swinging off the front. Big power here from the Canyon SRAM rider, as rider just goes over the top there. I think that's Quinton Ton from GT Crush that's making a move here. This is you're going to see some new colours in here. GT Crush Turnout Pro Cycling, so you get to see this team in here. Camps Tifosi, they are a British team and they are in fluorescent yellow and red. Watch out for the likes of Joe Tinley, Katie Witten, Hayley Simmons will be looking for the time trial, Clover Murray, Jess Finney, Emma Edwards. The German national team, led by, you would say, by Mieke Kröger, but Gudrun Stock has taken the sprints jersey. So far, the national team of the Netherlands, watch out for the likes of Nicole Stuygenga. So a real mix of teams in here, Danny, with the time trial tomorrow and the final Col de Vam stage as well.
Yeah, there are a very big mix of teams, Marty. It's really good for some of the smaller teams and national teams to get this opportunity to ride against some of the biggest teams, the biggest names in the world of elite women's pro cycling. And I think we can see most of the teams have brought sprint teams with them, which I'm actually quite surprised about, especially looking at stage 3. It looks to be a really, really brutal stage. It's laps again, it's 17.5 laps of 6.6k, but there's 2 climbs within that lap, so it's going to be really attritional. I think it's interesting to see who's going for these intermediate sprint points, especially the points with seconds. That would be likely that's going to be the GC riders that the teams are looking for. So you can see Lisa Brennauer here. She's definitely going to be one for that GC, I'm sure. She's got teammate next to her, Kirsten Wild, who, again, I think is my pick for today's stage. This is a fast stage. There's not many opportunities for the riders that they're having to break on this course. So it's going to be a fast sprint. It really lends itself to Kirsten Wild. She's such a powerful rider. She's going to profit off that speed, not having to, jump out of a corner, but to really be able to build it up with that power that she's got. And it's Drops again that are trying to force the speed on the front of this peloton with Movistar rider on her wheel. There, it looks like 106. So that is Maaike van der Dun from the Netherlands. So again, they've been quite aggressive today, with Joss Loudon also coming up to the front of this race, Marty, which is really great to see. You'd think that they would leave it up to the bigger teams. You can see Amy Lusick coming to the front now from Canyon SRAM, Anna Henderson from Jumbo Visma, Marja Roos always marshalling the front, a super domestique for SD Works.
And again, they get Drops go again. So good moves now from Drops Lacole, so the British team. And they didn't get an awful lot of racing last year, did the likes of Drops Lacole. So they've come into this one and they're definitely trying to make up for lost time. And that's what you've got to not be intimidated at all in this one. And Jade Veal was the rider that was getting onto them. But Christine Majerus now from SD Works starts to make the move. So the Luxembourg national champion launches a move here. So if you are just getting on board, welcome. This is the 10th edition of the Healthy Aging Tour, stage 1 on the Assen circuit. And this circuit has played host to many races over the year. There's a junior Tour of Assen that has always found some real stars in the world of cycling. 28 laps of this 4.5 kilometre circuit, making up 126 kilometres today, and some big name sprinters in this one. So at the end of this one, this is lap 19 that we're going round now. 41 kilometres to go. GT Crush getting into the mix. Just to give you an idea, you can see the wind just buffeting the flags as they've got a sort of cross tailwind through the start and finish. A little little bit of a tailwind as they go through that chicane. Shirin Van Anrooy now on the front here for Trek Segafredo. Then they'll have a sort of headwind, a cross headwind down the back of the circuit, and then a cross tailwind through the corners back up to the finish. Good to see Shirin up here for Trek Segafredo, and this GT Crush team definitely aggressive today, our GT Crush, and this is Danique Hangeveld that's off the front for this team. But this is what they've got to do, Danny. When you're a young rider from a developing team and a smaller team, this is when you've got the likes of, you know, SD Works, Movistar. This is your theatre, isn't it? This is the day when you've got to put on the big show. This is where you've got to catch the attention of those big teams. And I think over the next few days, we've got Next G now on the offensive here. We've been talking a little bit about Charlotte Kool, very good sprinter for Next G, but they've got Britt Carnarvon in there as well. But this is the days where you can't be intimidated, can you? You've got to be aggressive. You've got to get out there and just put yourself into the mix. And this is Britt Carnarvon that's off the front here, and she's another. We talk a lot about young riders that come from sort of cycling dynasties, and Britt's another one. And she's like we put her up there with Eleanor Backstead in terms of she'll want a cobblestone from Paris-Roubaix on her mantelpiece just like her dad's vase.
Absolutely, Marty. Yeah, she's only 20 years of age, the Belgian rider. She didn't actually finish in La Samine, but she's really, really going to be one of those superstars to look out for in the future. And it's really good to see these riders really taking it on against the like of, you know, you can see Ellen van Dijk here, and it looks like Julie Leth from Sarah Tizet WNT as well. And it's a real chance for the riders to really showcase what they can do. And this is a really good circuit for them to do that. It's obviously not technical, so they don't need that real experience of, you know, being able to ride in a bunch. It's easier to ride at the front and keep themselves out of trouble and be able to, you know, make those moves like Britt did then to really be aggressive and show the power that she's got. And the Andy Schleck team's another team as well that's great to see, you know, a real developmental team that's given these young riders a chance to be in these races. And you've got to start somewhere. Healthy Aging Tour, which was once the Energy Vac Tour, is where I started. I rode the races as a junior, and it was really where I learned to ride a bike. And it's a fantastic opportunity for riders to learn skills, especially in a bunch, and learn from these older riders to really, you know, try and follow in their footsteps. So it's great to see the aggression of the young riders, and then that they're not intimidated by being in a bunch like this today.
Marta Lack in the centre there, champion of Poland. There's Caroline Canuel, the champion of Canada. Amelie Deirdrickson here from Trek Segafredo, just getting their nose into the front. For a sprinter like Amelie, they've got obviously they've got a big team of sprinters in here. They've got Chloe Hosking, who actually took the QOM points, so she's going to wear the Queen of the Mountains jersey tomorrow. But for someone like Amelie on a circuit like this, you can see Kirsten Veal a little bit further back. You would have been a rider as well that would have fancied their chances in a bunch kick on a day like this. Is it just at this point as well, just getting your nose into the wind, just getting the wind direction, just sussing out what sort of gears you're going to, how it's going to figure, where you want to be position-wise when you come through that last little chicane and into the home straight?
Yeah, and that's what's good about the bonus sprints, the intermediate sprints. It gives the sprinters an opportunity to test themselves and work out where they need to go in order to win the final sprint, which is obviously what is most important.
Seeing those new Andy Schleck colours. There's a lot of purple in the peloton this year, isn't there? The Andy Schleck kit is very similar to SD Works as well. If you've been with us over the course of the first couple of races of the season, and you can see the German national team, Mika Kroger there, you can see sitting in second wheel. She'll be looking for the time trial tomorrow. Hayley Simmons just moving up in the yellow and red there for Cam Stafosi. So good to see Cam Stafosi moving up towards the front here. This is Katarina Heckler that's coming through towards the front here. So we're going to get a sprint this time. So we're looking for Gudrun Stock. There she is, 1:55. That's Gudrun Stock there for Germany. She's taken the first sprint. So clearly has designs on this opening day. Does Gudrun on the sprints jersey. And in terms of Gudrun, 25 years old, the German rider, bronze medal last year in the team pursuit in the World Track Championships. She took a good fifth. You could say a good fifth in a stage of the Ardèche, but last year. But she was sort of third in a bunch kick with Chloe Hosking. So clearly has got a good pedigree on the road, and 5 times national track champion. So this is going to suit her perfectly today. And Lisa Klein just getting up here as well for Canyon SRAM.
Yeah, you can see Lisa Klein is obviously really up for this sprint as well, and Mika Kruger is trying to lead her teammate out, Gudrun Stock. Mika Kruger is a fantastic time trial rider. She is the rider you want in front of you to lead you out for this sprint. Gudrun's looking over her shoulder, waiting to pounce, leaving it till the last minute so she can really use all her power all the way up to the line. We know Lisa Klein can sprint. She won this stage race in 2019, the last time we've seen this stage race happen, and it looks like now the riders are launching their sprint. Gudrun Stock is leading this one out from Lisa Klein, and she has taken it again. So that is really incredible sprinting there from Gudrun Stock to take 5 out of the 5 so far. Lisa Klein taking second place, and then a Jumbo-Visma rider taking third.
Look like it could be Karen Swinkles. We'll get a confirmation of that when the camera just pans across here. And let's have a look at the Jumbo-Visma. It's actually Romy Kasper that was in there that time. So Romy Kasper, we saw Karen Swinkles sprinting now, but Romy Kasper takes some points. And now they're off the front, and Lisa Klein as here with 35.9 to go. Dangerous rider to let go here, Lisa Klein.
Yeah, she absolutely is. And you have to be really attentive after the sprints. These riders have just found themselves pipped off the front, and I don't think that was intentional. It's just come from, you know, after the sprint that's happened, those 3 have given it their all. And now it's really important for riders to get to the front of the peloton to make sure they can really answer to any counter-attacks that might happen after this sprint. So now it looks like Romy Kasper from Jumbo-Visma, Lisa Klein from Canyon SRAM, and Gudrun Stock from the German national team are working together to try and stay away from the chasing peloton behind.
Look at that breakaway group. Great shots here on the Assen Motor Racing Circuit. As we said, 28 laps of 4.5 kilometres, 126 kilometres. If you are just tuning in today, welcome aboard. Marty McDonald and Danny Rowe with you. Danny, experienced World Olympic champion, has raced on the road, just bringing her expertise. This would have been a perfect day for Danny when she was riding. She would have been either leading out or sprinting herself in this one. But we've got 3 riders at the head of the race. And it's 3 riders you've got here from Germany. Lisa Klein from Canyon SRAM, Romy Kasper from Jumbo-Visma, and Gudrun Stock from the German national team in here. And this is a sort of race, Danny, where you see Gudrun, we talk about her as a trackie and a team pursuit rider. And these are the sort of races where a national team like Germany or the Netherlands will put their track teams in to give them a little bit of a workout on the road.
Yeah, and that's another really good point to mention, actually, Marty. And we can see there's a lot of track riders. Amy Peters now, exactly as I mentioned, that coming to the front for SD Works. And Amy Peters is a rider that can really do it all. She's had some fantastic results already this season. She was up there in Het Nieuwsblad and Samin, so she's obviously got really good form. And also Kirsten Wild, so her Madison partner for the Netherlands, is in this race. And for Kirsten, she only rode 1 race last year, and that was the Giro. So probably once the Olympics were cancelled because of COVID, she decided to get onto the road and ride the Giro. But it's great to see the track riders in the Healthy Aging Tour, and we as British track riders use this tour actually to get some endurance in the legs, some speed in the legs on the road, and really find that fitness before the track season, you know, really kicked off. So it's great to see those riders in here today. Gudrun Stock is probably one that focuses more on the track, but it's great to see her up there in the road. It really shows that riders can take on more than one discipline. I think we're seeing that more actually nowadays, Marty, especially with the cyclocross as well. On the men's and the women's side, you know, riders able to really chop and change with the disciplines, and it is great for motivation as well. It really changes up sort of training dynamics through the winter. Being able to ride cyclocross and the track, you know, there's motivation to be in the gym, to really use that strength element of training. We know that really works, especially for women training in the gym, and these track riders will probably be in the gym up to twice, maybe even 3 times a week to really work on that element of their physiology.
We said Lisa Klein, winner of this race in 2019, won it by 8 seconds in the general classification from Ellen van Dijk, and it's SD Works that are on the front here, leading the peloton behind now. Let's just run you through some of your sprinters before Danny and I throw each other under the bus and make our predictions for the day. But we've got Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen from Movistar has had a great start to the year. There's our Swedish national champion Natalie Eklund just at the back of the group. We've got Kirsten Wild, Jolien Dura, Lorena Wiebes, Emma van der Holst, Charlotte Kuhl, some of the big name sprinters on this team. Do you think for SD Works today, looking at Amy Peters on the front, do you think it's all in for Jolien today?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think Jolien had a really unlucky race in Samin. She was up there, she was in the moves of the day, but unfortunately she punctured with a couple of K to go, and she was really disappointed and said herself on social media that she was really up for that sprint. She's obviously another track rider who's looking forward to the Olympics this year. I think Jolien will definitely be their favourite, their pick sprinter for the day. You can see Marjaroos, you know, marshalling at the front as she always does, and I think Amy Peters will be looking for the general classification.
And the Camps Tifosi, Clover Murray. Good to see Clover Murray getting up there. The peloton being led by Christine Majerus. SD Works all with those long rain capes on, so it's back together here. Lisa Klein, they weren't keen to let the Canyon SRAM rider get off the front. Romy Kasper in the yellow and black there of Jumbo Visma. Great to see them now in the peloton here. New colours for them. Loretta Hansen up there. There's Amelie Deirdrickson just moving out on the outside here in those that light yellow and dark blue colours of Trek Segafredo. Those rainbow bands on the cuffs of her jersey, showing that former world champion on the road, but just keeping herself well to the front here. They're going to come around at the end of this lap and see 7 to go this time, as Majerus and Peters are the riders doing the work on the front. So now you've got to go move up then over the next few laps. We do have a sprint for points with 4 laps to go. So good to see the team here on the front. So you've got Lonneke Uniken, who's also in there. We've got Roxane Fournier from France. So this SD Works team with having the likes of Lonneke in there and Roxane. Roxane's the French rider. She's a phenomenal sprinter in her own right, and that's her on the front there. Number 4 on the bike, Roxane Fournier. But they've thought about everything in terms of the makeup of SD Works. If you follow women's pro cycling, this is what was Bull Dolmans, and both Bulls and Dolmans have stayed on board as minor sponsor. SD Works have come in to back that. They've had quite a lot of changes now, but the SD Works team, we've seen them over the first couple of races. Umloop, Het Nieuwsblad and Le Samyn, the way they just can come to the front and just shred a peloton with the power on the front.
It's really impressive. You can see here the whole team is on the front. Carouan Canawell in the Canadian colours now has come to the front of the team, and they're just looking after Jolien Dahora here, who's looking for the sprint today. Amy Peters, I'm sure, for the GC. But it's been really impressive to see them in the first 2 races of the season. They've really taken it on and, used their aggression to their advantage. They've obviously got the power, they've got the strength. But even more impressive that it is actually quite a new team. In the past, they kept the same riders for a number of years, and this year there are a lot of new names to this team. So it's even more impressive that they've been able to come together after only 1 training camp in the winter together, due to obviously COVID, and getting the different nationalities together has probably been a bit more tricky than in previous years. But the way they're riding together it's just, yeah, it's really impressive, and I think they're going to see a lot of success this year. I think by taking it on, they're not having to chase, so they're giving themselves the best opportunity. And someone like Marjarus has been within this team, which was formerly obviously Bowles-Dolman, since 2014. She's so confident in her own ability. She's really found that role as domestique. She doesn't have to worry about, contracts in the future. I think, unfortunately for women, you find, especially in years gone by, that riders are worried about that next contract. So you don't see that real team dynamic than what you do in the men's. But now that women's cycling is, becoming more, that we're having more coverage, which is fantastic, and the likes of this race being on TV is just going to enable women's cycling to grow. There's going to be more money in the sport, more sponsors. It's going to be a real snowball effect, and I think as a result we're going to get that real teamwork that you do see within the men's, and riders not having to worry about their next contract year upon year. So for someone like Marjarus, she's had that confidence in the team and in the contract, and I think that's why you see her all the time at the front. She's willing to sacrifice her own results. She's a fantastic rider in her own right, to look after her teammates.
We've seen Amber van der Hulst there back at the team car for Parkertel Valkenburg, and quite a few people in the press and media talking up Amber for today. Just 21 years old. She was 9th in Les Samines, took some strong races last year, and Lorena Wiebes from DSM, who they'll be working for today, we can bet. We just saw the lights of Leah Kirschman coming up towards the front, but Parkertel Valkenburg just seem to be able to find these riders like Amber and Lorena. It's great to see them coming through.
Yeah, it is, and it's a really good place for riders to start, especially someone like Lorena Wiebes. She would have had that opportunity to get the results for herself and really showcase what she can do before moving into a big team, and I think that's really important. I think sometimes when riders enter teams, the big teams, too early, they actually end up having to become this domestique to the big names, and actually don't get that opportunity for themselves. So I think that's a really good team for riders to step into. It's super professional. They get the support, they get the equipment that they need, the coaching, to be able to really work up in their career to a leader like Lorena Wiebes has. She could showcase what she could do in that team, and now riding for obviously DSM, she's definitely going to be one of the favourites today.
We just saw Kirsten Wild giving Leah Lynn Teutenberg here, the rider here in the black gilet, wearing 76. Her gilet. The teammates are now offloading all the kit. So for anyone that's new to cycling, and that shows the pecking order, doesn't it? You've got the young rider here that's collecting all the gilets, taking them back to the team car, and it looks like Andy Schleck, the Andy Schleck team, going on the offensive today. Does look like a Lena Metro that was off the front a little bit earlier on. He's having another go off the front, so clearly a lapse out in front a little bit earlier on, and haven't affected the legs at all. Great to see Andy Schleck, CP, NVST, Imolosh to give them their sponsors the full shout out. But yeah, super keen here to get things going.
Really good ride here from Lena Metra, really aggressive. She's obviously a super strong rider. To be able to even get a gap on a course like this is really impressive. It's so hard to stay away on a course like this. The riders are always in sight. You can see now the whole peloton is bunched over the road. Such wide roads, being a racing track. Really, really tough, predominantly flat. So for this rider, it's almost a real do or die moment. And it's interesting to actually understand why a rider like this would be making a move like this, because it is almost inevitable that she will be brought back. But like you say, Marty, she's a young rider. She's super strong. Andy Schleck team. It's a chance for her to really get her name out there. She might be going for the most aggressive rider today, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was to get it. She's been out there. Again, she's out there again for the second time, and it's a great move from the young Swiss rider.
So just coming through here, so it's lap 22nd lap now. 6 laps to go this time. We've got as they go through the line. 6 laps to go. Majero's just controlling things for SD Works. Ellen van Dijk there in the light blue and dark blue Trek Segafredo, and Park Hotel Valkenburg very much to the front. As it's good to see this team. It's a development team. It was set up as a junior team, and then over the course of the last couple of seasons, they've now they're growing. And Andy Schleck, of course, very famous pro rider, and now backing a women's pro team, which is great. And good to see these colours in here. Gone for the purpley. Fade into the red and the yellow here. So as we say, they're quite similar to the SD Works team when they haven't got their big rain jackets on. But Lena Metro, the Swiss rider, off the front, back of the peloton that you can see here. So there's Alice Barnes, British champion, wearing 31 in that white jersey with the red, white and blue bands around the centre. Kirsten Fields for Sarah Tizet, WNT, Sharon Van Anrooy, who you can see here for Trek Segafredo. And then for Jumbo-Visma, up towards the front. Interesting for Jumbo-Visma. Anna Henderson had a bit of a kick out earlier in one of the intermediate sprints, and could be the protected rider today in the sprint. Had a great ride in Les Samines as well, did the British rider, and another British rider come to the front, Hayley Simmons, Cam Stafosi. So a lot of you probably seeing this team for the first time. So good to see them up there. Hayley will be targeting the time trial tomorrow, but always a rider that's aggressive, always wants to get through to the front, probably just wants to wake the legs up a little bit as well today for Hayley Simmons. You can see the soigneurs across the side here, and it's pretty difficult handing up bottles on a flat circuit like this. That is tough, isn't it, for the Swannies on a flat circuit, trying to hand up bottles. Because we were saying at the weekend as well, Amelia Filene broke her hand last year on a fast feed, grabbed a bottle and cracked a bone in her hand. I think it was in the Giro Rosa that she did it.
Yeah, it's a skill, that's for sure, Marty. You know, the riders will be travelling super fast. They're obviously pretty compact now as well. So for the Swannies, they're having to look for their riders, hope that they're not in one line, and they have to, give out 10 bottles within a second as they fly past. But yeah, it's really a skill, and one that you have to practice as a rider. But you can see now Hayley Simmons talking into her radio. It's great to see Hayley up there today. She doesn't do many road races, but a time trial rider, a fantastic one at that, and she will be looking at that, I'm sure, to be up there. She rides a World Championship time trial for Great Britain. She's been up in the top sort of 25 riders in the past couple of years, so it'd be good to see where Hayley's form's at this year. She's just stretching her legs out at the front. The riders don't seem too bothered about this rider now that we're seeing at the head of the race, Lena Metro from Swiss and from the Andy Schleck's team. It's really good to see her up there here, the young 22-year-old, really giving it her all. She's got a lot of clothes on, actually, Marty. I'm surprised if she's not boiling under all of that. I remember as a rider myself, it's so important to pick your clothing correctly, and you can be deceived, at the start of the race if it is only 5 degrees. You think you need to wrap up. She's got leg warmers on, overshoes, and then 5 kilometres into the race, you start overheating. So something that you learn as a rider, going forward. How much you need to wear. Everyone's obviously different, but for this rider, she's having a super aggressive and really impressive race so far.
Yeah, the temperature for the riders today is 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. Coming from the south of England like you do, it's like summer, isn't it? You'd be there in shorts and no gloves.
Absolutely.
Good to see Elise Chabbey there, the Swiss champion in the red jersey. So you can see gone a little bit funky with the Swiss champions jersey and the Canyon bike. So good to see that. So the Netherlands, Dutch national team are in here. There's you can see Lisa Klein up there for Canyon SRAM. So for the Canyon SRAM team, in terms of sprinters, Alice Barnes and Alexis Ryan. Alexis was having a little bit of a go in some of the intermediate sprints, so we'll see. Could it be all in for Alice today?
Yeah, I'd like to see that, Marty. This is her first race of 2021, the British National Road Race Champion. You'll see in the British national colours. She's very good at, you know, not putting her head in the wind until she needs to. You can actually see her right at the back of this peloton now. She's so relaxed. She absolutely is. You never really see Alice with any sort of nerves on her face. She's a really composed rider. She knows where she needs to be, and she gets herself in the right positions at the right time. So I'd like to see Alice up there today, but I think for the Canyon SRAM team, they'll be looking for Lisa Klein again for the GC. And again, Alexis Ryan, we know she can sprint, and someone like Oma Shapira for stage 3. So they really are covering all bases in that team. They haven't had any huge victories, and so it'll be nice to see them pull together. I know Cassia Nieuwedoma was quite disappointed with her ride at Strade Bianche. I know she was really hoping to get a win after 4 times being on the podium. But yeah, I'd love to see Alice Barnes up there today. We know she can sprint, but look at the sprinters in this peloton today. You know, they really are. We are not missing any top sprinters out there today. We've got Chloe Hoskin from Trek Segafredo. She was up there second in Samin to Emma Norsgaard Hansen. I think she could be up there today. She's shown herself. You know, she's really improved in the last couple of years, and she's really mixing it with the best riders in the world. Jolene de Hore, obviously, for Team SD Works. Lisa Brennauer can also sprint from Ceratizit WNT, although I do think they will be putting all their eggs into Kirsten's basket for today. Lorena Wiebers, Suzanne Anderson, you know, they really have. Team DSN also have some great sprinters within that team. So I think we're going to have fireworks at the end of this race today.
22.6 kilometres to go. So Lena Metro comes through here with 5 laps to go this time. So Metro has really thrown down the challenge here. When we think back to Madrid and the attack, and Lena is clearly a good time trialist, and we think back to that flat circuit in Madrid with Elisa Longa Borghini and the ride that she did there, and it's that raw time trial power, isn't it, sometimes on a circuit like this that can you know, sort of carry off the front, and you know, you just never know. We're seeing a little bit of rain spots on the camera lens as well, and that again, that changes a circuit like this quite considerably. It's quite heavy tarmac that you get on a motor racing circuit. It's not like your standard street type tarmac.
No, it's not, and it only takes the peloton to become slightly complacent, you know, sit back and believe that they would easily catch that rider in front, for that rider to just eke out the second. So for today, that is Lena Metra from the Andy Schleck team, the 22-year-old. And we don't know that she's not a fantastic time trial rider. She was 11th in the Swiss individual time trial last year, the national championships. But again, she'll just be riding around her threshold, so something, a power that she knows she can sustain for a long amount of time. She's staying out of trouble. She can really just use that to her advantage. She can take the lines that she really wants around this race course. She can see exactly where the peloton is here in this switchback in the course, which will give her motivation, because she is, you know, she's really sustaining this gap. So yeah, a really impressive ride, and like you said, anything can happen. Elisa Longo Borghini in Madrid, she stayed away for such a long time, and we were questioning whether she would stay away to the finish. Unfortunately, she just got caught towards the end of that race, but I wouldn't have predicted that she would have stayed away as long as she did. So it's really good to see riders really taking it on, and not just sitting back and thinking, well, I'm not going to stay away on a course like today, a course that is, you know, really thought of as going to be a pure sprint. So yeah, I love to see different race scenarios panning out, and I'd love to see her to stay away. That would just be fantastic.
Martelak here, just going to get rid of the jacket to the soigneur at the side. You can just see, just wrapping it up there. You just want to try and make get your rain jacket in a little ball and try and make life easy for the soigneurs at the side. But you can see quite a lot of jackets now just getting jettisoned to the side here as we say, you start to get into the business end of the race, and you don't really want to have too much kit on in terms of jackets and rain jackets and gilets and things on the when it's really starting to heat up. The German national team through to the front here. So Mika Kröger, Christa Riffel, and we've got Lena Reisner, Gudrun Stock, and Katharina Heckler. And Gudrun Stock's been sprinting out for those intermediate sprints. She's got one more to come at the end of this lap with 4 laps to go. So having taken the maximum points in all of the previous sprints, hopefully she'll be for Leila Metro, I'll be hoping she'll be content with a second place points on at the end of this lap. And now going down the back of the circuit, starting to get into that cross headwind. She's got the Shimano neutral service car just in behind her, so just you can see there, just tucking down as aero as she can get now on the road bike. So just hands on the brake levers, and of course we've had a few changes to the rules for riders now that are off the front on their own. They've got to keep hold of the bars all the time now. No more sort of leaning on the bars that we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, it's interesting, all the new rules, but again, it's obviously safety is the most important, so it's good to see that is being enforced. But you can see the teams really coming together now. The German national team on the front, I'm sure, looking for Gudrun Stock for the overall. She's had some fantastic intermediate sprints. They took on their gel, so this is probably the last opportunity for the riders now to take on a last bit of energy before, you know, it really heats up towards the last part of this race. A lot of riders be using caffeine for that extra kick, especially in a sprint stage. You want every watt of power that you can come into the finish. But it's good to see national teams working so well together. Generally, national teams don't get the opportunity to ride together on the road. They might get some wildcard entries into specific races, and that's generally the first time they would have come together to ride as a team. They would normally be riding for different teams on the road, so it's good to see them riding so well together, and obviously Gudrun Stock taking that points jersey as well for today. You can see Marjorie from SD Works sat right behind them, Marshall in the front. She's almost now a legend of the sport, isn't she, Marty? You see her up there in every single race, you know, on the front looking after her teammates, and I think it's just really, really impressive. We can see Lena Metro again now on the front. She's really working hard. She's now on the drops, coming back onto the hoods, trying to find the most comfortable position to get as much power out as she can, and it's, again, into a headwind. That's the hardest wind direction for a solo rider. Obviously the riders in the peloton can share the workload, but on the front you're riding straight into a block headwind. It's really, really hard to stay away.
Inside 20 kilometers to go, and you can see from this head-on shot that the gap here for the Andy Schleck team rider is growing. So he's a young rider, great time trialist is Lena Metro. If you were with us earlier on, she was off the front when we came on air, was brought back, and that peloton just kind of collecting themselves now, and you can see it's Gudrun Stock's teammates here, the German national team, that are trying to lead out for her. Lisa Klein moving up there for Canyon SRAM, just getting into the mix, and Majeris from SD Works just kind of policing the front. Plenty of Trek Segafredo jerseys up here now as well, and drops Lecole. Marjolein van Kaloof is a rider that wearing 103 for drops Lecole, who had a great Lesamin, did the drops rider from the Netherlands, 5th in that one, but they're winding it up now on this, and here comes Elise Chabi now, is going to try and lead this one out here for Lisa Klein. But look at the answer here from Mika Kröger, just turns up the pressure on the front here the German national team rider. That's why you want Mika Kröger leading you out. That turn, seated turn of speed, and has just launched Gudrun Stock off the front. And Lisa Klein gets in here. Majerus trying to get up there, but Gudrun Stock's going to come round at the end of this one and take second place points there. So what a turn of speed there from Mika Kröger.
Absolutely perfect lead out, and that's what I was trying to explain earlier in terms of track riders really being lent to this course. So Mika Kröger didn't even get out of the saddle there. She just wound it up. You know, she doesn't have to brake. The speed is so fast on a circuit like this that it's not a circuit where you have to jump out of the saddle. You can really use that seated acceleration to your advantage. So for such a powerful rider, that was just absolutely perfect for her teammate Gudrun Stock there. Gudrun Stock, sorry, my mind just went blank there for a minute. Gudrun Stock to just sit on Mika Kröger's wheel. She just had to follow, and Lisa Klein couldn't even get round. So yeah, fantastic there. It looks like Lena Metra's just being reeled in here. And that's come from that acceleration from that sprint. So it looks like, unfortunately for Lena, this could be her day over. But for what a fantastic effort to stay out for so long.
Good move. And that just gets brought back there. Romy Kasper just gets in there. Let's have a look at this sprint. So after that move there by Mika Kröger, Gudrun Stock comes through and had taken all of the maximum points in the sprints, takes second there behind Lena Metro, but now we're starting to get into thinking about the sprint here, and it's the Dutch national team. Nicole Steigenger is the rider that's attacking here for the Dutch national team. So the orange colours just now starting to clip off the front. The move though of Lena would just, it does give other riders, especially from the smaller teams, just gives you that confidence, doesn't it, that you can that it is possible to get away on this circuit.
Yeah, exactly. If she can do it, then I can do it. It's almost that see it to believe it type attitude, and it gives, yeah, like you say, other smaller teams, younger riders that confidence that, you know, that why shouldn't they? You can see now it's Nicole Stenger and Quinty Ton here, two Dutch riders giving it. And they've really, really strung this out now. You can see some gaps in the peloton forming, forcing teams to chase this down. Jumbo-Visma are trying to get across. And that was a really good move there from the Jumbo-Visma rider to not bring the whole peloton across, but to jump to get across to this move. And that was really impressive. It's forced Loretta Hansen from the Trek Segafredo racing team to chase across and use that energy that she's going to want to save for that sprint to help her teammate in Chloe Hoskin, I'm sure, who they'll be going for today.
Caroline Canuel, you can see in there, the national champion of Canada. She's got herself into this group. She was the one that sort of dragged it across, and it's Trek Segafredo here that have got to do the work to get things back together. I think it's Victoria Gilman that's up here as well for FDJ. So Nicole Steigenger winds it up on the front. So they're going to come around this time and see 3 laps to go. So this group just off the front and holding some good power. Quinty Ton now just on the back of the group. So the power here from FDJ. Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope to give this team its full name.
This is a part of the race where it does, sorry Marty, does start to really, really heat up in the last 15 kilometres of the race. It's not the time to let small moves go if you are looking for that sprint. So it's going to be, you know, time for these riders to really come to the front of the race. The sprinters you're going to see coming further forward, they don't want to be, you know, too far back, get stuck in any sort of trouble and have to chase. You can still see Alice Barnes is still just hanging on the back of this group, biding her time. Looks like Oma Shapira here as well for the Canyon SRAM rider.
And right in the centre there, wearing 23, Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen, the Danish champion for Movistar, and another rider that we have seen nothing of so far today.
No, Martin, generally the riders we see nothing of really come to the front at the end of this race. You can see her now on the left-hand side of the screen, number 23. She had a fantastic start to the season. The sprint that she had in Het Nieuwsblad was so impressive. I think she even shocked herself, actually. So she'll definitely get confidence from the start of the season, especially in a race like today. It really lends itself to a rider like Emma. The Movistar team is another team that I've been really impressed with already this year. Obviously, they've gained the famous Annemiek van Vleuten into their squad this year, but Emma's also really stepped up, and she's been the superstar of the team so far. So it'll be really interesting to see what they can do on a course like today. It's not very technical, so it's going to really highlight the strength of these teams, the legs that the riders have got. It's almost going to be a real lead-out opportunity, a chance for the teams to test their lead-out and how strong the riders are in different positions. So they had the opportunity to test within the intermediate sprints. So it looks like Ellen van Dijk is on the front for Trek, and she's going to be one of the key components to this Trek Segafredo lead out. And we haven't seen Chloe Hoskin at all, have we, today? We can see Amelie Didrikson, but Chloe Hoskin is one that we'll be looking for a sprint like today. Again, it's a perfect sprint for her. Pure power. Loretta Hansen now on Ellen van Dijk's wheel, but Chloe's just hiding, ready for that sprint. Actually, in Samin, I didn't think, it was obviously a good sprint, but she didn't quite have the legs to get round Emma Norsgaard Hansen. So I think she'll be looking to get that victory for Trek today.
3 laps to go this time. We go through the line. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is stage 1 of the 10th edition of the Healthy Aging Tour. We're on the Assen circuit. They call it the Cathedral of Speed. 28 laps of this 4.5 kilometer circuit, and intermediate sprints we had throughout this one. We've still got plenty to play for here. Ellen van Dijk here from Trek Segafredo has a glance across. We've got Park-Hotel Valkenburg that are also trying to get their riders into the right position. Amber van der Hulst is, we think, the protected rider for them. Then you can see Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen just coming up for Movistar, and a real team of lead outs that they've got for Movistar. Barbara Gorischi, the Italian, great sprinter in her own right. Shayla Gutierrez is kind of mind-sweeping for Emma Jorgensen at the moment. So the Movistar team, good to see Natalie Eklund, that Swedish champion, coming up there in the yellow and blue, coached by Backstead Coaching, coached by Magnus Backstead, is the Swedish champion there. So good to see her. She was off the front a little bit earlier on, so good to see her getting herself into the mix. Amy Peters now moving through here in the purple from SD Works. So this team just starting to get themselves into position, and she'll just be trying to get Jolien Duren now up towards the front, and looks like Jolien is right on the wheel. You can see a few riders just going across the rumble strips at the sides, so wide circuit as well to try, and there's plenty of room to sort lead outs out, but sometimes on a motor racing circuit there can almost be too much room.
Yeah, and we can see that as well in races like Tour of Chongming Island in China as well, where the roads are just so wide. It's actually almost makes it harder to move up, because you can almost be at the front and then you have the whole peloton spanned across the road, and then suddenly you're at the back again, especially when it's so fast. So you have to have that skill to be able to sort of duck and dive within the first 20 riders to try and maintain that position. And we can see the teams just starting to get together now as we come into the last 12 kilometers of the race. They're going to be looking out for their sprinters, making sure they keep them out of trouble, have their last energy gels, last communication in terms of who's going to start the lead out, who's going to be the last person to lead out, and who's going to be the sweeper, as you say, Marty, which is what Shayla Gutierrez was doing, the Spanish rider with Emma Norsgaard. And that's when essentially you have someone on the back of the sprinter. So, for example, with Shayla being on Emma's wheel, it just stops any rider sitting on Emma's wheel and profiting off that quick sprint. So that's another interesting tactic that some teams use to their advantage.
You can see here Gudrun Stock just in front of her teammates. This is Ava Jonkers from Dutch national team. Joss Loudon there from Drops Lacole. Had a bit of an attack earlier on. Sarah Tizet, WNT for Kirsten Wield. We'll be looking to add to her impressive 13 stage victories in this race. Kirsten Wield has in a career that 109 road victories for Kirsten Wield. For Sarah Tizet WNT, we'll see what how much that Gudrun Stock here has in the legs come the finish. And it says that SD works. Majeras just looking super calm and super composed, and right alongside her, Amber van der Hulst, the new sprinter for Park Hotel Valkenburg. So they just get them in the right position. So as we said, they fed that rider Lorena Wiebes through to what is now Team DSM. And you can just about see the Belgian champion stripes. There's Jolien Dure right on the wheel of Amy Peters. We're heading towards the final 10 kilometres of this race. Was your prediction Kirsten Wield here, Danny, today?
Yeah, it was Marty. It was Kirsten. Who's yours?
Right, I'm gonna put it right out there. I think. Right, I'm gonna go for. I think I'm gonna go for Jolien. And then my outside bet today is I'm gonna get Anna Henderson on the podium here, the young Brit for Jumbo-Visma. She's my podium pick.
That would be really good. She's got Rihanna Marcus riding for Jumbo-Visma, and she's a fantastic domestique and a fantastic time trial rider as well, so she could be really, really strong in a lead-out situation for Anna Henderson. Anna's also really good in a hectic final. She's got no fear. She's fantastic descender. She comes from downhill skiing, so she's super confident in the scary moments, and she won't be losing that wheel in front of her, that's for sure. But I think, again, it'll be really interesting to see how these teams use this sort of circuit for their lead out. There's not many opportunities within the women's cycling program or men's on a big racing circuit like this. It's something that you generally see in more junior racing.
Inside 10 kilometres to go. Jumbo-Visma in the yellow and black down the centre. Trek Segafredo on the left in those light blue and dark blue colours. They've got two options in Chloe Hosking and Amelie Deirdrickson for Henderson. A couple of years ago, took a couple of runner-up slots in the Tour de Bretagne behind Kirsten Wield in the sprints in that one. I mean, she was racing for the British national team. Danish champion there, Emma Norsgaard Jorgensen in the red and white Danish champions jersey for Movistar. Lorena Wiebes just getting brought up. You can see on the right there in the black and light blue colours of Team DSM. So spread all across the road here, all across this Assen circuit in terms of organising and trying to sort the lead outs. Loretta Hansen is the rider on the front of the Trek Segafredo lead outs. As you just see some of the smaller teams, the GT Crush Tunap team just moving up. In situations like this, for some of the smaller teams, Danny, it's almost some of the smaller teams sometimes think they have to do that lead out, whereas sometimes is the better option to just bring your sprinter up, put her on the wheel of someone like, try and get them on the wheel of an Emma Jorgensen or a Lorena Wiebes and just say, that's where you want to be, because there's only so much circuit, isn't there, for so many teams to try and organise their lead outs.
Definitely in a race like this, Marty, yeah, for those younger teams, they're just not going to be able to compete with that raw power that a lot of these teams do have. So like you said, they've got more opportunity to get a result in a race like this if their best sprinter can just be placed on someone's wheel. And it's kind of a bit of a lottery. You kind of pick one rider and think, right, I think Kirsten is going to be up there and I'm going to do my best to stay on her wheel, for the last couple of K or as quickly as my teammates can get myself onto that wheel for. So yeah, for sure, especially when it's so fast at this type of moment now, it's going to be really hard for teams or riders, especially individual riders, to move up on their own. on the wheel, you're saving so much energy and so much power. So to make that big move, you're almost having to do a sprint to get to the front as well. So yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a bit of a drag race from the big teams with the lead outs come the last couple of kilometres of this race. With such wide roads, it almost gives the teams an opportunity for a real lead out. And I think it's going to be really exciting. You can see Canyon SRAM now. I think this is the closest to the front Alice Barnes has been all race, number 31 in the British national colours here. A really experienced rider, still a young rider, but super experienced. She's been racing for many years, so they're just moving up now on the left-hand side of your screen. And there'll be a moment then within the race where, you know, your leader will communicate through the radio as to when to really start the lead out and put the pressure on, and then communication through the whole lead out as to when they feel the rider on the front is dropping the speed, and that's their moment to come off and let the next rider take on the next leg of that lead out, and hopefully drop that sprinter off with about 200 metres to go, depending on the wind direction. Obviously, if it's a headwind, they would want to be dropped off later than if it's a tailwind, and they can really use that speed and potentially go for a longer sprint.
Just saw, just as Alice Barnes was moving up, Joe Tindley from Cams to Fosse. I was chatting to Simon Howes, their DS, last night, and he was saying she was their protected sprinter for today. There's the Tina rider, the Swedish national champion. So good to see these Swedish colours in there. Here come the GT Crush TNAT team up towards the front and just having a real dig now off the front here. Danik Hangeveld is the rider here from the GT Crush team. Just moved through almost like she was starting a lead out there, but a late one here for the GT Crush rider, and you can see a good moment for a move here, just as everyone's starting to think about their lead outs for their sprints. And she's another trackie, is Danik Hangeveld. Only 18 is this rider. Took a bronze last year in as a junior in the Europeans in the elimination race. So another good trackie now off the front. Suits a trackie. Does this course, but this team, I've been impressed by this team today. They've been as like the Andy Schleck team as well. Super aggressive. Yeah,
really impressive, and it's a really good opportunity for a last minute attack. Like you said, Marty, the teams haven't quite got together yet to start that lead out, so it's a really good chance to be able to profit off that. And then there will be hesitation then in the bunch when there is a rider up the road as to who is going to start these lead outs too early and potentially put their team on the front. The riders start to get nervous when there's a rider out the front and sometimes start their chase too soon. And that means then they haven't got that horsepower and those numbers for the final sprint. So for the teams behind now, they need to stay composed and have that confidence that their lead out's strong enough not only to win the sprint, but to get this rider back. And make sure she doesn't stay out alone to the end of the race. I'm sure she won't stay out there. You can see now Hayley Simmons again coming to the front for Cams to Fosse team. Trek Segafredo rider just pulling out off the front now. I think that might have been Loretta Hansen. You can see that team's really starting to get together to form their lead out. Christine Margerouse again close to the front for SD Works. And we're just going to see this race now getting faster and faster. It's going to be harder and harder for riders to get to the front. So it's about staying at the front now, which requires, real technical ability to be able to, duck and dive on wheels that are forever changing in the wind.
Back up to our leader here from GT Crush. So young rider, 18 years old. Just you can see hands on the brake levers just here, just with 5.9 kilometers to go. They're going to come around and get the bell this time, and they get round towards the finish. And this is a great shot, gives you a great angle here on this Assen motor racing circuit. That's set things up here to be able to have the Healthy Aging Tour this year. Hayley Simmons here in the centre, clearly got designs on the time trial tomorrow in this race overall. But here come Trek Segafredo with Loretta Hansen Ellen Van Dijk and Trixie Warrack. They've got Amelie Deirdrickson and Chloe Hosking in there as well as the young rider, Shirin Van Anrooy, a rider that mixes cyclocross and the road, and she's in the centre. Great road rider as well is Shirin, and she'll be benefiting, as a lot of the young riders are, from the experience of the likes of Trixie Warrack and Ellen Van Dijk in the development of their careers. Here's Sarah Tizet WNT, and they've got the Kirsten Wild won't be far away. There's Lisa Brennauer in that German national champions jersey. Lisa Brennauer has got a kick, can you know, handle a kick like this as well.
She has, and you could see as well, just in front of Lisa Brennauer was Julie Leth. So you've got three really strong, experienced track riders there in that last few riders from Sarah Tizet WNT. They've obviously got Leah Lynn Teutenberg, who's got great experience from Ina, obviously Teutenberg, Marta Lack as well. So that team is super strong in a lead-out formation. And again, my pick for today was Kirsten Wild, so it'll be interesting to see when they take it on. Kirsten's great at communicating as well. You always know exactly what you need to do with Kirsten in your ear, shouting and telling you when to go and when to produce as much power as you can to try and drop her off at 200 meters to go generally.
One lap to go, and it's our lone leader here, Danik Hengeveld from the GT Crush team. They're saying 26 seconds for the young rider here from GT Crush. So going here, just going to go through the bell. Just had to check herself there, didn't she? She just she went for the time trial position and then remembered that you can't do that anymore. They've changed the rules on this one, so you can see there. Just got the radio in the ears, just getting will be getting roared on by the DS at the side. But 25 seconds on this circuit with 4 kilometers to go. Absolutely perfect move from the young track rider, and you can see the peloton on the other side. And this is almost like the track here, Danny. When you're off the front, you're halfway, you're trying to take a lap in the elimination race, or you're trying to take a lap in the points race. That's what this is. You should be able to just glance across and see them going down the other side.
This is really exciting now. 25 seconds is a really good gap with only 3.7 kilometers to go, especially if teams don't start really starting to chase. You can see it's Trek on the front, followed by Movistar, who really want to try and bring this rider back, and it'll be a real wasted opportunity from the sprint teams if this rider is left out in front. But what a fantastic ride. She's still holding 23 seconds, and like you said, Marty, her legs will be burning now. She'll be trying not to look behind her to see that chasing, raging peloton, you know, trying to chase her down. But this is a fantastic move, and she obviously timed that to perfection. She got the jump when the other teams were just looking at each other. You can still see them all looking at each other now. So this is a fantastic opportunity for this Crush rider to stay away.
It was like she was like a stealth ninja the way she went off the front. It was just, she just kind of crept off the front, just took it by surprise. And that's how it happens sometimes when everyone was just looking around, trying to lead it out, and the peloton have got her in her sights. But as you said, just 18 years old, this would be a dream start for this team. But she has got some serious firepower chasing her down behind, and it's going to be up to those the team. The neutral service car is just going to get pulled out here. We know what the likes of Trek Sager, Fredo, SD Works, and Sarah Tizet WNT can do when they need to bring something back. And you've got that sort of cross headwind down the back of the circuit. It's DSM here for Lorena Wiebes that are up towards the front, and they will not want to miss out on this one. You can see there the way that sort of slingshot, Danny, we said it, the width of this circuit here, and everyone just kind of getting thrown across to the side.
This is where the carnage starts, Marty. You can almost hear the shouts from the riders in the peloton. The nerves start. Riders are trying to get to the front. So for this rider now, Danik Hengeveld, she's in the great position. She's got 2 kilometers to go. I do think she's going to be caught, but a great position to be in for this opportunity to win the bike race. The riders are swinging from left to right to try and find their teammates and get to the front. Riders are on the rumble strip now in a last-ditch attempt to get to the front of this race and set their sprinters up or get themselves in the right position to sprint for the last couple of 100 metres of this race. They're wide roads. It's really hard to stay near the front. It's almost a washing machine effect. You've got riders going from front to back really, really quickly, and it really takes that experienced team to be able to ride the perfect lead out in a scenario like this. And you can see the peloton is really hunting the rider down to try and take this first victory in the Healthy Aging Tour.
You can see the lance across the shoulders aside here for her. She's 2019. She was the European Junior Champion in the elimination race on the track, and just shifts her hand now on the break. It was 1.4 kilometers to go, and again, mindful now that rule changes. It's on the and lining it up now. Here we go, lining this one up now. SD Works, apologies if you lost me for a moment there. Kirstine Majerus just gets kicked across to the side there. DSM on the front here, the power is up, the pace is on as we head towards the final kilometre. There's Dani Kangavel, can she hang on in this one? It is going to be touch and go. Can the 18-year-old here from GT Crush Tunat Pro Cycling hang on and spring the surprise of the year so far? You can almost feel the desperation in the chase behind now, Dani, as they try to get this rider back.
Yeah, you can. We can't quite see the time to go, the meters to go here, but what a fantastic ride, and it looks like this rider might just do it. You can see the peloton hunting her down now. It looks like Sarah Tizet, WNT, are on the front. They are riding for Kirstenville today. We're in the last couple of 100 meters of this race, Marty, and it looks like she's just going to get caught towards the end of this ride as they're coming through the last through chicanes of the race.
In they come, and it's Alice Barnes here from Canyon SRAM. Is the British champion going to take it? Oh, crash on the front. Lorena Wiebes goes down. They managed to avoid it. Is it going to be Barnes? And here comes SD Works, throws on the line. Apologies, Lorena Wiebes going down there in the finish. The chicane through there just clipped the back wheel, and it's going through there. It was Jolien Dura from SD Works that just got up right on the line there to Alice Barnes. Oh, that was a crash there for Lorena Wiebes.
Yeah, ouch. That really didn't look great there. She did roll, so hopefully she is okay. You can see she looks to be okay, but that was a really, really fast crash there, unfortunately, for Lorena Wiebes. Hopefully she's okay. I think we're going to see a replay here, Marty. So it was Alice Barnes. She just touched the wheel of Alice Barnes there. She just got caught on the wrong side of it. So it's Alice Barnes with Jolien de Hora there from SD Works team, who just managed to pip Alice Barnes on the line. A fantastic sprint.
Yeah, they just come into sight there, so throws the bike at the line and just getting up there. Never want to see anything like that in the sprint, but you can just see the way it snaked in that little snake at the end. But SD Works again. Jolien Dura takes the victory for SD Works. What a sprint, and a good sprint as well from Alice Barnes from Canyon SRAM on some good form. I think from that sprint point of view as well for Barnes, that's one of the best sprints I've seen in a while from Alice Barnes. So clearly coming into this season as well with good form.
Yeah, she looked really strong there, Marty. It was lined out, and there weren't a lot of riders in contention there. It looks like Lorena Wiebes is back on the bikes. That's fantastic to see. After such a fast crash there, you know, that really, really shocked that rider, especially, you know, in the last couple of 100 meters, head down, sprinting as hard as she can, to then suddenly, you know, be rolling on the tarmac is not what you want to see, but really good to see her back on the bike.
Just getting helped across the line by one of the Dutch national team riders. Just helps her across the line. And we had Some couple of Jumbo-Visma jerseys are up towards the front as well. But what a finish! What can you say there about Danique Hangevel? We were talking about it earlier on, weren't we? In terms of putting yourself firmly in the shop window. But that was a thrilling finish, and it kind of made that finish sort of even more frantic. And you can.
Yeah, for Danique. What a ride. You can hear from, looks like we're going to hear from Jolien now.
Jolien, congratulations. How did it go in the final?
Well, it was pretty hectic actually. Like everybody was coming from everywhere because the lanes were so wide. Also the speed was very high, and then still a few crashes in the final. So I thought I almost crashed when Lorena went down, but I could still make it. There was a gap with Barnes, I guess, but luckily I could catch her on the finish.
Yeah, I thought there was a crash after the last corner. How could you manage to get through that?
I don't know. I think it was just an instinct, and I was also pretty lucky not to go down. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to take the win for the team today.
Was this your goal for today?
Well, yeah, obviously it was gonna be a sprint, bunch sprint. So. I wanted to go for my chance, and yeah, I had a great team who helped me, so yeah, this was a good first day.
Well, this is a good start.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start. Tomorrow a time trial. We have a few other riders to go for it, not me. And then the last day, we're just going to have some fun on the Vanberg.
Last question, how was it to ride at this famous circuit of the TT circuit in Assen?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Really nice. Just pity that there's no crowd because they have a huge stage here. But it's nice to see, and yeah, this is really Corona-proof, so thumbs up for the organization.
Congratulations, Jolien.
Thank you very much.
Well, that sets things up for SD Works for the next couple of days. So time trial tomorrow. Here is your top 10. So Jolien Dura takes them. Alice Barnes, Karen Swinkles, Anna Henderson gets up there. Charlotte Kool, Amy Peters, Georgia Danford, Danique Hangevel hangs on for 8. Marjolein van der Kaloof takes 9th, and Amber van der Hulst for Park-Hotel Valkenburg is your 10th place rider. Some good names up there. Some of the riders we're talking about, the Amber van der Hulst, Anna Henderson getting a good ride in there as well. Charlotte Kool for Next G. So some good rides in there. Georgia Danford getting up there, the New Zealand rider from Andy Schleck. So I think it's something that this race always gives us. It's that opportunity, as we saw with Danique there, getting off the front, almost bringing that surprise. This is that opportunity, isn't there, for those developing riders as well, and teams as well. Do use some of the bigger teams use a race like this to help develop those riders and give them those race winning opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. That was a fantastic move from Danique, and to still be in the top 10 as well just shows the sort of horsepower that she does have.
Let's take you through the story of the day, and this is our rider that was off the front when we came on air, Lena Metro. The German national team, good opportunities. Lisa Klein getting off the front. This race, as we go on tomorrow, we have that 14.4 kilometer individual trot, and then the 115.1 kilometer stage to finish everything off. The day belongs to Jolien Dura of SD Works taking the first stage. We will leave it there. Join us tomorrow from Martin McDonald, Danny Rowe. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Dit programma werd mede mogelijk gemaakt door Van Mossel en Emisoft.